So Arcane was a huge hit, and I loved it. Made some shorts at the time, praising each episode, and had a great time overall with the experience. Is there stuff to criticize about the show? Plenty. But to me, none of it is very interesting in the face of just how much I got from the show that I never even knew I was waiting for. On a story level, it's nothing special. Very conventional stuff, very well written, but not really saying anything new or all that interesting, which ought to be a lot more damning to the show than it is. But when I play back through this show in my mind, it's not anything about the story that stands out. It's two angry ripped bitches tossing each other across a bar to the tune of a fantastic Negrito song. Call this fangirling over the animation and music in Arcane if you must. See, you gotta understand, I say smart words about cartoons on the internet for money and clout, not because I actually give a shit if a show is good or not. Nothing on earth could matter less to me. All that matters to me is if I had a good time with the thing and or if I can find something to say about it. And to be honest, I prefer the latter cases to the former. When I just enjoy something and come away with nothing to say about it, I feel frustrated, like I wasted the effort watching it when I could have been working. I had considered making a video about the themes of Arcane back when it came out, but that just felt so distant to me from what I actually cared about in the show that my heart wasn't in it. I know for a fact that most of you don't come to a show for the story. You come for the style that drew you in, and you hope that a good story will be lying underneath so that you have an excuse to keep indulging that aesthetic without feeling like you haven't earned it. As a viewer, you seek the challenge of conflict and the catharsis of resolution from a story so that you feel like you've gained something from the experience. Truthfully though, I think the bulk of what we identify with in a good story is usually apparent right from the start. So much so that it's incredibly normal not to finish consuming singular pieces of media even when we really enjoy them. When I started Arcane, my emotional guard was up very high. I knew nothing about League of Legends, I'm rarely impressed with popular shows, and I didn't want to be committed to watching 9 45-minute episodes. Through the first two, I kept finding excuses to undercut its specialness. Sure, the setting looks great, but it's just Final Fantasy IX by way of Uncharted. Actually, that sounds like a literal dream come true. But sure, the pacing and action are good, but can that hold up for 9 whole episodes? Yes. Yes, it can. Okay, but these kids are cute and all, but their dialogue's generic, and they aren't that special. Will anything happen to make them interesting? Oh, one of them killed all her friends, joined the bad guy as a daughter with a weird pseudo-sexual undercurrent, and went insane, hearing the voices of her dead friends and blowing shit up with reckless abandon. And she's also like the most possible I want to look just like her because I have serious body image problems hot girl I've ever seen. The ultimate guilty pleasure character. While her sister, Vi, is all stud and no guilt, my beautiful dark lesbian fantasy. Perfection. If anyone tells you that they don't watch anime for the attractive characters, they're lying. And I think Vi and Jinx are the two most robustly attractive animated characters possibly ever. The French have always been the champions of sex appeal in animation, probably because they don't seem to be actively afraid of it like Japanese and Americans. Manga has been hugely popular and influential in France for a long time, and there have been no shortage of anime-like French cartoons and even co-productions with Japanese studios. And they have always gotten a lot closer to the teen edginess of anime than American cartoons do, while also being a lot more blunt and realistic about the sexuality of the characters. A lot of that comes through in Arcane, which I greatly appreciate for its awareness that the League heroes are known more than anything for their sex appeal. Beyond just being hot though, what makes all this show's characters so much more charismatic than almost any other animated actors I can think of is the massive range of their expressions. So much motion and nuance is put into the faces, the body movement, and action that I feel like I'm seeing animated actors in a new medium. Sure, video games have been pushing 3D actors to move more like people, but most of it is awkward and shitty Uncanny Valley nonsense from teams of great designers without any great animators. Arcane feels like such a next step to me because it's a perfect blend of artistry and bleeding edge animation technology. The ability to make 3D animation that looks like a painting practically spawned into existence when Disney spent the most money ever on an animated feature in developing Tangled. That film still hasn't really been topped in visual fidelity, I don't think, but in recent years, films from Japan like Studio Trigger's Promare, and from America like Sony Pictures Animation's Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse have really pushed the aesthetic envelope to make 3D as punchy, exciting, emotive, and outright gorgeous as any of the best painted animation. Arcane is most clearly comparable to Spider-Verse with its more Western sense of character design, but by that I only mean that its faces are much more detailed and expressive than the standard anime. I realized there are not many artists capable of drawing something both emotionally evocative and also conventionally attractive, and so I think the talent amassed on this production is just outright otherworldly. I wouldn't have believed it was actually possible for any studio in the world to pump out nearly 7 hours of animation of this caliber until I saw it, and that it keeps finding new things to show me, different types of action and emotion entirely from episode to episode, is so exciting that I was blown away after every episode by how I'd gotten so much more than I'd expected out of it based on the seemingly straightforward direction of the story. It reminded me of my first time watching Psycho Pass, when I was so worried right to the bitter end that it was going to drop the ball, and it never did. I wasn't nearly as invested in the actual story of this show as I was of that one, so any silliness of its ending didn't rub me too wrongly, and it mostly left me feeling like none of the answers had really come this season anyways. It was more of a character drama and a spectacle showcase than anything, and since that drama was written competently and the spectacle was off the charts, I'd say it was a winner. I doubt that Arcane will remain to me as impressive as it felt in the moment. Like James Cameron's Avatar or Final Fantasy XIII, there tend to be diminishing returns when something is initially impressive for its technical achievement, but has a plot that doesn't really tend to stick with people. I think the strength of the main cast and their connection both to League and to all of the other aspects of League's franchise, like the upcoming fighting game, will help to stopgap that issue though and keep the show alive in people's memory, even if it's only vague images of Jinx dancing around hailing bullets in a violent mania, and Vi's rippling back muscles as she punches walls. And if I don't have to wait very long before something impresses me more than this, well, fuck, I'll be living in a better reality than I thought. For now, though, Arcane remains one of the most impressive feats of digital animation that I have ever seen, and I am not going to complain about something that gives me so much of what I want out of fucking nowhere with no expectation. I hope the second season's great. If it's not, this show will probably end up being forgotten in the long run, and if it's amazing, this show will probably go down as an outright classic. I honestly kind of don't even care either way. Like, I'd love for the show to turn out to be a classic and be even better on the plot end than it was the first time, but I'm going to watch it for the entertainment value regardless. That's what I'm here for. I'm just flesh and blood. I'm only human. I just want to look at Vi. Thank you for watching this video. I've been Trixie the Golden Witch. You can find more of my writing on goldenwitch.substack.com. Subscribe for bonus articles and podcasts. Subscribe to my Patreon, patreon.com/goldenwitchfire. Find me at goldenwitchfire on all social media platforms and payment platforms. Also listen to my podcasts on the ASE Presents channel. They're linked in the description down below. There's the Jittery Zeitgeist Hip Hop Review podcast and the topic-driven New Void Gazers podcast. You can find everything I do in the Every Video Featuring the Golden Witch playlist that's right here on the channel. Thank you again for watching, and never forget, French anime forever.